Hi, everybody. Sacred Rebels, Claire with Clairvoyant Clairvoyant Psychic Medium here today with
Erika Lane.
guys. Mercury is in its shadow phase. That is get used to these kind of I can't talk. Yeah. Anyways, hi everybody. Last week was a lot. I definitely felt the need to let things go. So I think that we titled last week's thing perfect because that is like we have to let it go. It doesn't matter. Like move on. This isn't a big deal. That was the main thing that I really took from, I think. Was there anything else?
I mean, no, I feel like that does pretty much sum it all up.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like there was a lot of okay, I'm supposed to do this today. Oh, now I have to go do this, or oh, this happened now instead of that. Like, just let go of the frustration, just accept and adapt. It was a lot of that stuff.
So Monday, August 14th, we are in the Leo moon at this point. And so the new moon is going to take place in Leo, so we are jumping into that. Ironically, though, the moon,
It's not till Wednesday.
I know, isn't that cool? Like, so
It's a
we're gonna
long
enter
time.
we're gonna enter the Leo moon on Monday. It'll still be in Leo on Tuesday, but it won't make that conjunction to the sun until Wednesday early morning, though, like 4 a.m., which we'll talk about.
Oh, okay.
So, what's going on Monday is that Venus is making a trine to Chiron. And so we kind of talked about this at the end of the last podcast that like Venus is in retrograde. So again, this is like that introspection and everything. And then making a trine to Chiron, which is also in retrograde. It's like an ease of inward reflection around this. And then we tie this into the themes of Chiron and Venus, which is Venus and Leo is the value of self-expression, the value of authenticity, the value of your inner child. And Chiron is the pain of your identity, the pain of your authenticity, the pain of motivation and drive and courage and like that warrior spirit, so we are kind of syncing those two things up, and I feel you'll be healing,
Yeah,
whatever that means for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is so much Leo energy, and as if you are like us as Aquarius energy people, we are fucking facing some shadows right now.
It's also that fire element.
Even though we don't have Chiron retrograde or whatever, that's not really like full on hitting us because our Chiron is retrograde in our charts, right? Yours is too, right? Yeah.
Yes.
But it's because it's Leo season and we're just dealing. I'm ready for it to be over with.
And I think that Venus retrograde is still hitting us. So like
I'm over it. So we're gonna be healing and stuff on Monday. We're probably gonna be a little. I mean, the moon is going to be in Leo. Leo is retrograde. Is Mars in Leo?
No, Mars is in Virgo, but we're also in the dark moon phase, so I always think of the dark moon phase as that last push to release before we get back into the newness again.
Yeah. I've said this for a long time, but the dark moon, yes, the full moon brings out the crazy. Let's say that. But the dark moon brings out the feelings.
It is like a purging effect. So I know, like we said last week, let it go. This week is like, again, at the beginning of the week, it's like that final purging moment.
We're dry heaving.
Literally, that's a good way of putting it. Um, and it's also going to be conjunct Black Moon Lilith, which will also,
Fuck.
so that adds even more of that shadow aspect, purging effect, you know, like
Cheers.
wounds, triggers, traumas.
Okay.
Okay, so I also noticed here too, so Venus is in that gate 4, which is what we're going to talk about with the new moon. And then Uranus is where it's also going to be. Okay, we'll talk about that there. But anyway, so we're kind of getting this understanding of the differences and trying to create understanding despite like the doubt that comes from all the differences. That's on the human design part of this. And I think that that's a good way of also describing Venus in Leo. It is the value in differences, you know? So, like, we're all
Value.
uniquely different, and
Mhm.
that unique difference is what makes us like if you even think of the attraction of expression in Leo, you know, like that's why it's a very expressive sign. Like the attraction of that is because it's different. Like if you were just like everyone else, you would just melt in with the crowd, you know? So
Yeah.
I think that's a good.
That brought up what I kind of meditated over yesterday. Can I read a little bit of those
Yeah,
things? Because it
yeah.
feels like that. You are so supported and loved. You have a unique and powerful gift that deserves to be praised, cherished, and loved with abundance in all areas of my life. I deserve to be wealthy and love and abundance. Um, I do not feel guilty for others feeling jealous of how I have transformed. My magic is used for good and love, and I deserve to be confident in my spiritual beliefs and gifts. The universe has my back, and I do not fail. I learn. I am allowed to live in my full witchy power and cultivate success from this. I am a witch and I am powerful. I trust and honor my intuition. I speak my intuition with confidence and ease. I attract those who accept me for who I really am, and it is safe to be me.
Mm.
That really,
Damn.
yeah. So, like, stepping into your power, understanding your authenticity, and fucking understanding the power that you have with it. And, like, walking that walk, talking that talk. Like, yeah, okay. So yesterday I had to deal with this stupid shed guy. Guys, this shed, fucking Patricia, it is crazy. We had water damage happen. Had the shed guy come out and like caulk it, and the caulk didn't dry. And we found out the fucking windows were upside down. It's just seriously one thing after another. So he came out and turned the windows upside or the right side up, and just me talking to him, I like went over those statements and really embodied them and was able to fully be like, you're fixing this. This is your problem. Whereas normally I would be like, okay, you know. So this is
Taking up
transforming
space.
me. Yeah.
That's what my whole thing was about.
With your therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's like, and then now that I'm experimenting with that, like you, if you're present and aware in the moment, I just came up with this today, like in like you feel that constriction or that contraction. I'm feeling like, that's my signal that this is a moment where I need to take up space.
Ooh. Okay, so what she's just talking about, and hopefully we will make a little, like, Erika, you need to make a little thing about it, because when we were talking yesterday, we recorded some stuff, and there was one point where I was telling the story of me going to Sweet 98, and they were talking about the nicknames that you hate. And I had the realization in that time that I cannot have another male, no matter who it is, no matter anyone. Okay, gay guys, I guess, don't count. Gay guys that I know, they don't count. Cannot call me a nickname. It like I want to like crawl inside of myself. And that's the restriction that you're talking about. Like that feel.
And
And
you know what's
that's
crazy?
when we need to be taking up space. To be like, don't fucking call me honey. I'm not your fucking hunter.
I just realized too when you said that I didn't realize when you said it to me yesterday when you made the difference between gay guys. I'm like, okay, so yeah, because they have more feminine energy than your
Oh yeah.
typical masculine male. And then I'm like, okay, so it's the masculine
Yeah.
calling you nicknames. And then I'm like, oh, because it's been we've been like program conditioned that it's a, what is the word I'm looking for? It's like a,
Misogynistic. They talk down to you.
there you go. Thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. Like a
Yeah.
nickname is like signal for they are about to talk down to you.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was so weird to me that the whole time on the drive that I was listening to all these callers and I even talked to them when I got there. Nobody else said that. Nobody else said if a man calls me a nickname. And so I'm like, what am I fucked up? Like that's why I had a whole therapy session today. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? You know?
It's going to be crazy as we keep going through this week too, but I think that that's all about the levels of awareness. I think you and I have just been so much more aware of what we're doing, and other people are doing the same shit. They're just not aware that they're doing it.
Yeah. Because they're just like, oh, one time I was at the Golden Corral and the waitress called me sweetie and I was so mad. It's like,
Who
I don't
cares?
care about that. Yeah.
No, I don't. But it's like, you know, the more aware you become, the more complicated.
Yeah, life isn't it's a double-edged sword for sure. Yep. Anyways, Monday, anything else?
Okay, so also the sun is square to Uranus, and the new moon is also going to be square to Uranus, you know, so like we are going to talk a lot about this when we get to the new moon, but I guess what I want to say is you're going to start feeling on Monday just like this unpredictable energy that also is like, have you ever noticed that in a society, the more safe and secure a society feels, the less likely they are to revolt? But the more complicated, chaotic, confusing, unpredictable, earth shaking kind of shit going on, the more that happens, the more that people don't feel a sense of purpose within that, a sense of security and direction within that, the more likely that they're going to revolt. That's upheaval is going to happen, that the tower card is going to happen, you know? So I guess what I just want to say is that we might start feeling that kind of energy on Monday. And this can, for you in your own personal life, this can just be like your self-expression within that, how safe it feels to just be you, to just exist, to just shine your light on things, you know? How do you maintain that same level of authenticity in that unpredictable mess of your environment, you know? Or just in existing in general, like life, reality, whatever you want to call it, the matrix, it's confusing, it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's a mess, you know?
There's always change. There's always a ton of stuff. So your authenticity, how do we not, I want to use the word bend for some reason. How do we not bend from that? It's almost like you have to get up in the morning. I'm seeing a vision of that little girl where it's like to the mirror, you are beautiful, you are smart, you know, like we have to like have those talks with ourselves every morning and be like, I fucking know this and I believe it, you know. That's total Leo energy.
And that's the mountain too. That's you staying
Oh
grounded in your reality, you know, like you are like, I am here for a fucking reason, you know, like even if that reason doesn't make sense to me, like I know that I am a unique soul that
yeah.
has, you know, this all has meaning. Like I can rest assured that it has meaning, even if it feels crazy.
So what just popped into my head when you said that is that I have a lot of people, I have a lot of people and clients and everybody in my life that I feel like they just kind of like go places and they don't think about it. They just like, oh, this person invited me, I'm gonna go. Where I honestly have never done that. Even as a little kid, I remember being like, I don't want to go to the cabin. My parents had a little cabin. It's nothing special. It was a fucking trailer. But like, I don't want to go to the cabin. Like, I know what I want. I know what my energy should be spent on. So I find I have a hard time when other people don't do that. Or they're just like, I'm going to go to this person's house and I don't know who's going to be over there. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't do that. And I know that it has a lot to do with my trauma, and I understand, and I figured out a lot today with like, I
Also
definitely don't
your
trust men.
definition too. You know who you
Oh,
are, so you're looking for environments that complement who you are. I think a lot of people just don't have that same level of self understanding, you know?
she's talking about human design. I have my the top one, the third eye, and my throat, and my heart.
Mhm.
All,
Your identity center, yeah.
yeah, everything is connected and defined, meaning filled in for human design. And yeah, most people don't have that, so people use other people to float around in life, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up getting caught up in dumb shit and dumb messes and stupid drama and bad situations. And I mean, think about how many people are in fucking prison right now because you are with the wrong person, you know? So really take
Big
this
long
time.
time. But
Yeah.
also a lot of that comes from, you know, being unaware of your own intuition. Like a lot of people try to think their way through life, and that's what gets them in trouble instead of trying to feel their way through life, you know?
Ooh, you have to do a bit of a dance, a bit of
Yeah,
both.
you have to, and you have to trust the vibes, and you've got to get all the things that really is hard to get the I hate that word majority around.
Majority. Yeah.
Yeah, like the majority of people do not do that. So
Yeah.
for you to try to explain that that's why you live your life that way, don't try, you know? Like
Yeah.
like they like you, and that goes back to just people are unaware and they're not ready for you to communicate with the about these things too, you know?
Yeah. It's a wake up call for both sides, the lower vibing people to step up and the higher vibing people to don't step down. We don't need to. There's no
Don't
reason.
down. Dude, okay. The lower vibe people, they need to expand. They need to open their minds to the possibility of these other things, right? And then the open-minded, higher vibe people, they need to take up space when they're feeling contracted.
Boom. Song just came into my mind. Hang on, I gotta look it up real quick. Okay, so I won't back down. Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. So even like the worst of the worst, as the high vibe of us, we can face hell and we're not gonna back down. Ah, thanks, Mom.
That's how you change the world right there.
Oh my God. It won't be turned around and I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gotta stand my ground and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way. Okay, I'm done. Okay, keep going.
So, okay, Tuesday, August 15th. So now we are really in the dark moon energy of Leo. It's getting closer to the moon is getting closer to the sun. And Uranus is still making a trine to Mars and still squaring the sun. And Black Moon Lilith, you know, is all up in the party now between the moon and the sun. And so we're just kind of like intensifying everything that we said about yesterday. And also Venus is still trying to Chiron as well. So
Unpredictable fears, unpredictable healing, unpredictable triggers. Yeah, that makes sense. Everything is healing. It's like we're really, I said this in my therapy session today when I was done with my EMDR. And, at the end, she always has us, excuse me, do a set where we like call all of our like pieces and thank them for showing up and leave what we don't need anymore, whatever. Um, Fuck, it just fell out of my head. What was I just talking about? Where were we right before that?
So the unpredictability of like, yeah, that's what we were, I guess that's where we were at right before it. The unpredictableness of like Uranus energy.
Oh, I said that we're really cleaning. So I said in that moment that because this is what I do. I think I've told her this, but I don't know. Whenever we do that set for EMDR, I always, because she says like leave what you don't want with me. She says that.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I don't want to leave it with her because I feel bad about that. So I make believe a coffin in my head that she's standing next to, and I put it all in there and she nails it shut. And she keeps the coffin. So I'm not just like giving it to her in her hands. I'm putting it in a thing. Like I'm a fucking weirdo. But anyways, so I was putting all this stuff in the coffin and I realized that I am fully shedding like so much right now. Like I can go through my life, and this is a lot of what this Leo energy is, living my authentic self, being able to not be afraid, and I'm shedding that. It's no longer needed anymore. It's not, I mean, yeah, it did protect me when I was a kid. Yep, needed. But 38-year-old Claire, don't need this shit anymore. So that's what I was going to say. It's like we are, because there's so much retrograde, there's so like dark moon, there's so much going on. We are like shedding fully.
I really, when you were saying all that, it made me think also of the attachments to things. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do that shedding process if
Mm-hmm.
you're staying. So it also reminded me of how you and I talked about how we both embrace uncomfortableness, so that
Yeah.
like raw skin feel of that shedding, we like, it's
It's
not
very
to say
normal
it
for us.
feel gross to us, but it's like we're not, it's
It
not
feels very
scary enough to
comfortable
make
for
us
us.
not to do it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we are fully willing to face that
Yeah.
if it means that we're reaching the next level of our growth.
Yep. If it means growing.
Yep.
Yep.
Because I feel like you and I both have that as like a very core value of ours, that growing is like,
Living.
growing is one of our core values. There we go.
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
And why we didn't come here just to die? I don't know. That's what I think about. Like if I'm still alive, then I'm not ready to die yet. So make the most of that.
I just had a whole fucking weird ass thought because there's so many people in the world that literally don't think that way.
They
And
live
they
to die.
just, yeah,
Like they think, like to them, life is like a work day. Like, oh, I'm just waiting until 5 o'clock comes around so I can get out of here.
I could punch in and lay down in the 6 feet under.
Yeah. Can't wait for that eternal blackness that might happen.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not afraid to die, and I'm kind of excited because I know that this sucks here, but I just don't understand. I can't wrap my head around that because there's so much. Yeah, there's so
Well,
much here.
first of all, it's interesting because we have a spiritual outlook that we don't feel like when we die it's eternal blackness. But
Yeah,
the funny part is that the people that are living to die, most of them are that way. They're like
yeah,
atheistic and think that that's the end. Like I can't conceive of why that would excite anyone. I think that's very demotivating.
yeah.
That's very constricting, contracting, you
Yeah,
know?
I wouldn't feel good about like getting up and going to work if I just was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die," you know? Like
Yeah.
that's all I know is I'm gonna die one day. I couldn't get up and be like, "Yay, life!" You know?
Yeah, or especially if you were just trying to rush through it, to get to the other side. I think it's like the more to me, it's like the more I can actually learn how to slow down and enjoy it, the more meaning it has.
Woo! Yeah. Retrogrades. Slow down.
So Wednesday. So Wednesday, August 16th, we are now in the new moon of Leo. So as I said, it occurs at exactly 4:38 a.m. Central Time. And this new moon is conjunct Lilith. The new moon squares Uranus. And at the same time, Uranus trines Mars. And I'll kind of reverse back to that, but later on in the day, as the moon moves away from the new moon, it's also going to form a yod pointing to Neptune with the south node. So like the moon south node points at Neptune. So back to the first thing, like back to the basics here. A new moon is manifestation, it is intention setting, it is a new cycle, it is a clean slate, it's a fresh start. And then we add this fresh start in with a lot of this not so fresh start feeling energy, you know, like Lilith there. I can see it giving you
fear,
but fear that initiates, you know, action.
Like the fear is your motivation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in a fixed sign. So this isn't like a cardinal new moon. It's a fixed new moon, you know. So this is like maintaining as well. It's like sustaining and maintaining energy, which to me is also just like all of that inner work that you've done on yourself. Like all of the work in authenticity that you've done in knowing yourself, you know?
Okay.
So what needs to change so you can sustain that, you know? So then the new moon also square Uranus. This is like, hey, things are always going to be unpredictable. Things are always going to be confusing. You can't control the world. You can't control the collective, you know, like how it's just about how you're going to decide to stand firm in that self-awareness amidst chaos, amidst confusion, all the things. And I think that yacht happening later is just a signal again to like a lot of this authenticity, a lot of this standing firm in this self-awareness also comes from you standing firm that you're here for a reason, that there's something greater than you, that there's a bigger purpose to this all, that there's a greater meaning to everything.
Okay.
Now when we get into the human design side of this, I'm really excited about this because it blew my mind. So this new moon takes place in Gene Key 4. And so I have the Richard Rudd Gene Keys book, but I have it like an audiobook. So I just listened to it. And while I was doing that this morning, I just kind of like took some notes as I was listening to it to like the kind of epiphanies I was having as it was like going on. And so I think with Lilith here, it made me think, oh, well, there will be some importance to the shadow of this, you know, since I do think of Lilith as exposing shadows, you know, and the shadow of this particular gene key is intolerance. And when they described intolerance, they described it as like the reaction to emotions and how the brain thinks emotions are truth and how emotions are so unpredictable, you know, Uranus energy, emotions are so unpredictable and people are governed by their emotions a lot of the time. And so there's a big difference between being guided by emotions and being guided by like that quiet, clear guidance of yourself, of your self-awareness, right? And so when you misuse the gift of logic, like we think of logic is like the power to read and solve logical patterns, but the universal understanding is like it's like understanding all the rhythms of all life is logic, you know, from like a way outside,
way out perspective.
yeah. So when you are overreacting, you know, and you're being guided on emotions, then your logic is distorted. So, you know, like this reminds me a lot of cognitive dissonance. You know, it's when you come up with all of these logic explanations to your emotional reaction because you're unaware of that emotional reaction. You think it's true. So then what do? You start to come up with all these reasons why it's true. You know what I mean?
It's very interesting that you said just the tolerance thing. Can I bring this up?
Yeah.
So those of you that don't know, and I don't fucking care if people know, and you can cut this out if you want to, if you care, but we record our podcast now on Friday. So right now it's August 11th. Today is day number 1 of me not smoking weed. Um, the only time I've ever stopped was when I had a moral problem with it when I was a drug and alcohol counselor. I couldn't just be like, yeah, you shouldn't smoke weed, and I'm going home and doing it, you know? So that was the only other time I quit. But right now, I have realized that if I have an emotion, I'll smoke weed. If I feel uncomfortable, I'll smoke weed. If I feel stressed, I smoke weed. If I want to be more excited and love something, I smoke weed. So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this tolerance break too. And yes, my tolerance is astronomical. Um, I don't think I'm feeling my feelings.
You just made me realize the tolerance that you've built to weed has made you more intolerable of things when you're not high.
Oh yeah,
I just like that is a wild way of like the paradox of that, you
yeah.
know?
No, it totally is. Like I know that I snapped at Cho last night because I've been trying to like wean myself off of it a little bit. And he came in here and he like, I don't know, I wanted the like water thing up there, and he put something else up there. I was like, I don't want that there. I want, and then I was like, move. Like I was like, get out of here. And so like this is my safe place. This is my shed, you know. And so I know like this is the place, like, don't fucking fuck with my shit in here, you know. So he ended up saying, sorry, you came at me really hard and I'm not used to that. I don't like that. And I had the realization of the like, oop, I'm gonna be real fucking bitchy for a bit when I'm like trying to feel my feelings, understand what's going on. But because I was a drug and alcohol counselor for or whatever for a long time, I wrote down a bunch of coping mechanisms. I wrote down a bunch of things that like, okay, I would rather smoke weed right now. So let's go meditate. Let's go take a bath. Let's go whatever, you know. So I'm figuring out different ways.
To
Mm-hmm.
cope. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know, that goes back to also the awareness of it, though, because you're aware that you need to do that. Like, if you don't have that awareness in the first place, then you have, like, that's no security right there. You are just completely riding your waves. You know, you have no sense of self control. There you go.
What do you mean?
Like, the fact that you're aware, like, oh, right now I'm wanting to smoke weed
Oh,
to deal with this. Like, you're aware, so you know to go use a
yeah.
different coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the significance of maybe also this particular gene key when it comes to us just dealing with people that are unaware when we think that they should know what we know, kind of thing.
No, I definitely know that people don't. That has become, especially since working with you too, and doing this podcast even more, I have been realizing I'm a fucking rare bird and I can't expect me from other people. I say that line so much to my clients. And I don't feel that I do expect me from other people because I know that I'm different. But when it comes to like Cho, my sister, I forget. And I expect them to know.
You know why? Because you've opened up a different layer of intimacy with those
Yeah,
people.
I'm more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. So I saw here too that like fear. So when we are living in this reaction to emotions and we're using our logic to justify this, fear will just be reinforced through logic reasoning. You know, you will come up with logic reasons why you should remain in the state of fear. Think about how often this happens. I mean, shit,
I,
this is what we work through with our clients all the time. It's when
yeah.
they're saying, I'm so scared of this, and they
Yep.
give us 20 logical reasons why
Yep.
they should be scared of it. And then we take a shit on that.
Oh,
We should actually
it's so
coin that as
true.
like a
Yeah.
descriptor for our services.
And I think that like a lot of it does go back. It's so weird because for years I had people telling me, read the book, feel the fear, do it anyways, read the book. So, you know, me being an Aquarius, Aries moon, I definitely do not fucking do what people tell me to do. And I have to do it when my own time, whatever. So I took that Ecuador trip as I am going to face my fears trip, and I'm going to read that book on the way there. And I did. And holy fucking shit, I did. And I recommend that book to so many people. I recommend like that. You need to know that fear is just like this. You're walking around with a fucking piece of paper over your eyes thinking that you can't see anything, when in reality you could just go, oh, it really was nothing.
It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
You
So
should have done that years ago.
mm-hmm. And you could even go and it'll go away. It's seriously nothing. So
The feeling.
but then again, I have to also recognize again where my rare birdness comes out of that fear is my motivator in my human design. And I like there is something inside of me. It is I don't even know how to describe it, where if something like today with my therapy session, I'm like, something is bothering me. I think I'm scared of men. What the fuck? Well, like I'm like pick to figure it out. Whereas
Mhm.
most people, this just came into my head, like, okay, I used to know somebody that this is a true story too. I'm not gonna say any names, hopefully. He went to go into the army and ended up he was in the army, but he was like medically discharged because of his knee or something. And at this time when I knew him, it was 15 years, I'm not even joking, after he was let go, and he was still in that like I, like I could have been in the army. I can't do anything else. I am a loser. Like all that.
It's completely held captive. Oh, and then what you just said is him coming up with all the logical
Yeah.
reasons why this fear that the fear isn't a feeling. He's not Macy. He's trying to cognitively dissonate from the fact that he is making all of his decisions based on an emotion, and then trying to make others and himself be deluded by all these logical reasons, by all
And it
these
gives him
justifications
attention
in
and
the brain.
feel bad. Woe for me. The victim mentality. You don't want to be a victim this week, guys. You want to be a fucking warrior.
So this is where this shit gets kind of cool too. They put in this book when they're talking about this shadow and bringing it into the gift frequency that understanding is the gift. Okay, so we saw shadow intolerance, gift is understanding, and how understanding only comes when we realize that the mind cannot fully understand anything. So
Ah,
until we have this realization,
ooh.
we either take sides, right? We either take sides without considering the other side, or we go on this endless journey of trying to understand things that we'll just never fucking understand. Because again, we're trying to think our way through life like I know it's like this is that paradox, I think, that gets me to this place, because that's what it talked about in this book too, is that it's like having the best riddle or paradox, the one that has no answer, or because you'll see how people will come up with an answer. People will come up with an answer, you know, they'll be like, this is what it means. No, this is what it means. No,
I wanna say you're saying the word answer, and I wanna say that it is defenses. It's blame. What are the defenses? Denial, rationalization, isolating, blaming, and minimizing.
Mm.
So you're saying answers.
No,
What
but
they're doing is
because these are because feelings don't always have an answer. That's why I'm saying it like that.
okay.
Because yeah, feelings don't always have an answer, and when your brain is always trying to apply an answer, it comes out in all those ways you just said.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you come up with all this logical reasoning to back that up. Now, what this leads to is collective brainwashing. Okay? Think about that. Like, it is that collective brainwash. This is where racism comes from, all the biases that we have. The reason why it's so hard to maintain this authentic expression, because we live in a society, like the way things are built is that difference is bad. You know, difference is logically bad.
Yeah.
You should be scared of this. You should fear this.
Yeah.
This is weird. This is bad. Get rid of it. You know, like this should trigger you, like that kind of thing. And here's all the logical reasons why it should, you know?
I need to like say something right now. It is very right now.
Yeah.
If you are living your life and you are not making someone uncomfortable, you're doing something wrong.
That hit my heart, man.
I know, it felt it in mine too, because it's the truth. If you are living in this life, I'm thinking of like Prig, my tiny little village that I live in. All of these fucking people here, they just try to stay in the status quo. I'm a little Catholic. I love Jesus. I drink a lot and I ask for my sins forgiven. Everything's okay, you know? And they just, I come in with my 12-foot skeleton, pride flags, neon pink shed, and I make people uncomfortable. And they ask questions, they learn more, they figure out more. If you're going to stay in that little small town mindset and never learn anything, you're not growing, you're dying.
You also just made me think of something. You doing this, you making people feel uncomfortable, there's 20 million logical justifications that you can come up with why you shouldn't do that, you know? Well,
Yeah.
you don't know what their response is going to be when you make them uncomfortable. They might shoot you in the face. You know, like
No,
I'm
that
just saying your
escalated
brain
quickly.
but I'm just saying your brain could go there. You know what I mean? If you let it go, if you let your mind
Yeah.
and this
People
logic
are
go
like
there,
that. Yeah.
yeah, it'll go there eventually. It'll get to that point, right? So that's when we bring in the fact that this is something that takes courage. Like, you know, back to that Aries
Brave.
note.
Brave.
Yeah.
I had a whole
Back to that
moment with the
Aries North
word
node.
brave yesterday. We have to be brave. It was because of Tom Segura. I listened to Tom Segura, Two Bears, One Cave, and the Your Mom's House podcast. If you guys don't know who those are, listen to them. They're so fucking funny. They're comedians. And it's Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. But Bert Kreischer was gone on this one, and Theo Vaughn was the guest. And he was talking to Theo Vaughn about how if you're like basically what we've been saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. You have to be uncomfortable. You need to be striving to be uncomfortable, because that means that you are constantly learning. You're going to constantly be living, growing. Yeah.
And the gift of understanding, you know, and the
Yeah.
more that we understand, the more that this whole fear and separation and intolerance gets weeded out in the collective. You know, back to that whole what you said, it starts with you and how it like reverberates
Yeah.
out. Like even in this one, the acidic level or the highest expression of this is like it has to come from a collective place, you know, because you're right. You are always going to have logical explanations to prove why it's scary, to prove why it's dangerous, to prove why you could die from being
Yeah.
yourself, you know? Because they're, you know, like they said, even like if you think about racism, that's what it is. I am just being myself. I have black skin and I have to be scared that I'm going to get shot because of that. And we know that the only way that that is going to change is if we keep being brave and we keep gaining understanding until we get to the point of this collective forgiveness. Okay, this is the shit where like countries
And
start fighting each
knowledge.
other's.
But I think
That
that that's
knowledge
what
comes from
comes with,
understanding.
yeah,
Yeah.
and uncomfortability. You have to figure out, why am I uncomfortable? What does this mean? Like, yeah.
So now
Sorry, I had
imagine
to
if the
interrupt that.
governments did that though. Imagine if if at a government level they were saying, "Why am I so bothered by this? Why is this so uncomfortable?" And then you get to this point of like countries forgiving each other's debts, coming together, more unity.
Wow.
And that forgiveness feeling, it's not something that you can acquire all by yourself. It's something that will kind of drop down on you like this eternal peace of just like, oh, I can exist. I don't have to be scared to be me anymore. But we have to realize we can't ever get to that point until we face the shadow of this, because the shadow of this is very
We
big.
fucked up
Yeah, we've gotten ourselves to this point. So then
way too far.
just to add at the end of this, we said that this whole thing is making a square to Uranus. Well, on the human design of Uranus, this is the alchemy of simplicity, is what they called it. Because at the shadow side, we're seeing how complex the world is, and we're terrified by that, which goes right back to the other side, right? This intolerance. We're scared of complexity and difference. And then we do this through language, okay? So like everybody agrees on what language means. And you know how sometimes you'll have thoughts or like you're trying to conceptualize something and you can't figure out how to communicate it. What does that lead to? That leads to misunderstandings, and misunderstandings leads to intolerance. You get what I'm saying? So like this also is cool because it talked about the right timing of communication. You know, the more that we try to think through our lives instead of feel through our lives, the more that we're going to speak at the wrong time, be in the wrong place at the wrong time, like you said, because we're not following our intuition, we're not following our body, we're not in touch with ourselves. So then we are just like, we're building more misunderstanding and building more of the shadow of intolerance in that. So I think that that's what this square is about, or what this new moon is about. It's like, oh, it's big. It feels like I want to just be all light and fluffy because it's a new moon, but this is not a light and fluffy new moon.
It's a fire and brimstone.
And just so, you know, to say that collectively, you know, you might see a lot of chaos out there in the world. You might see a lot of this misunderstanding, this intolerance, this fear being projected, you know, and how do you bravely stand? Like the newness of it is you setting the intention to bravely stand in your authenticity anyway.
As women, this is so hard.
What and like let's face the shadow of that, you know? Um have you ever noticed how whenever there's like a horrible thing in the collective, it always sways the complete other way before it gets better? You know what I mean? So like the trauma, suffering, and oppression of women has swung the pendulum into a place where we are just straight fucking pissed, you know? Like there's no equilibrium is what I'm trying to say. It never swings from extreme to equal. It always swings from extreme to extreme and then hopefully back to equal. You know what I mean? And this is kind of even touching in on that Libra South Node thing, that we have to sometimes swing the pendulum the other way, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah.
But with the suffering and oppression of women, the that has come from that shadow of intolerance, you know, seeing that our differences as women are intolerable.
There
You
you
know what's
go.
weird? Me and Nathan had a talk last night where we both realized at the same time that we don't like girly girl stuff. And then I realized within that yeah, that was a trigger. You know what I'm saying? Because girly girl represents crybaby, really emotional, super dramatic, chaotic, gossiping, manipulative. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't
we
have that. Okay, so back to my divine centers probably. But like when I think of girly girl stuff, I think of like play, like fun. Like okay, here's a random thing I'm going to bring up. This is something that has been in my head since my reception. So Keith, Cho's friend that was the MC at our reception, remember? he was so like, okay, what do I wear? What should I do? And I like basically making me like spoon feed him what to like do and wear and whatever. And I asked him the question, I was like, do you never dress up? And he was like, why would I dress up? And I was like, I had to have a whole moment with myself. And maybe it's because I was a drama kid. Chose not though. And it might be because we're Taurus risings and we're a little bougie. I don't know. But like, we dress up all the time. All the time. We'll be like, okay, it's a pajama party. I got my favorite onesie. Okay, it's a gothic party. We got this. Okay, let's go to like yeah.
Well,
And
this
then I
goes
had
back to
that
the
whole
trauma of that taking up space, though. That's what it feels like. It like think about how people are also triggered by like the flamboyancy of gays. That's considered girly girl. You know,
yeah.
they're taking up space. They're taking up too much space.
Oh. Did you just register that is what that is?
Yeah, no, that's what I registered last night when I
The
thought about
girly
this.
girlness is the taking up space of the feminine energy
Yes, and how
because it's
because
not
of this.
negative.
No, that's not. I've never meant that it was
Okay.
negative. I'm saying it was a misconception. It was a
Yeah.
misunderstanding. It was
Okay.
my own fear. It was my
Yeah.
own intolerance, right? To the other side of the part of me that I had repressed. That's
Yep.
the healing journey of it all.
Whoa.
Is that like but you can't get to those kinds of conclusions or epiphanies like I had if you don't ask yourself, why
Yeah.
am I triggered by that?
Yep. You got to do that, guys. Figure your fucking selves out because it's fucking annoying if you don't.
But I really love how you said you think of play. Like
Yeah.
that just warms my heart because it brings you back to how Leo season, Leo energy. It is about the inner child, and it's about probably that suppression comes when you can't be a kid and just play. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I had a conversation with my grandma. I don't remember why we were talking about this, but in the house that she lived in for most of my childhood, it was in Fremont, and in the basement, one of the drawers had like just a ton of her leftover makeup. And then in that closet was like her fancy dresses, you know? So me, my sister, my cousins, we would always go down there and fuck our faces up and dress up. And she also had one of those, like, I have to show you because it's one of those workout things. Hang on, because we just called it the fat shaker. It's a fat jiggling machine. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. Wait, like, is it the coming from that? Okay, yeah, coming from that concept that if you jiggle your fat, like how when you go to like
This.
Planet Fitness, you can stand on that like plate thing and it will like jiggle you, and then it's like supposedly burns fat cells or something
I
like
have no idea, but this is what she had in her basement in that same room.
that.
So
That
we would get all dressed up and in our dresses like we were just like fun. It was so fun. And we'd just be like crazy and have all like that was when I got to be like a girl, when I was at my grandma's house.
Aww.
Whoa, I just had that whole realization. I never could do that at my parents' house.
That's why you
It was,
have that really deep bonding connection with your grandma. She gave you
yeah.
a very positive outlook on feminine energy.
Yeah, and creative. Like we used to make, oh my God, oh, so many painting and creating. Like I have pillows from when I was a child that we did, like so much stuff. So yeah, very feminine.
You know, and I love how we got to this place of femininity because again, I think of that with Lilith.
Yeah,
It is
full
that
blown.
dark feminine, you know?
That repressed feminine.
Ooh, yes.
So
Exactly.
that's why all this is coming out of like I mean, this is the witch wound. This is the women wound that we
And think
carry
about it,
around every
Claire.
day.
You and I have been preparing for this. We
Yeah.
didn't know why.
Yeah.
I just got chills when I said that. We didn't know why, but we followed our soul, you know? We didn't try to logically explain our way through this. We just felt through it, learned what was brought to us in the moment, and that brought us here to these realizations.
Yeah. to hold the Awaken the Witch Festival, to let women be able to be in a space and feel comfortable to create and explore and learn and cry and
Girly.
feel and whatever, dress up, whatever.
So let's go to Thursday, August 17th. So after the new moon, we are now in a Virgo moon. So we have the moon and waxing now building, you know, after this new moon phase. And Virgo, when it comes after Leo, is really like
Time to clean up the mess after the party.
it's the refinement of that self too.
What does
you know?
refinement mean?
Like, think about it this way. If Cancer's the cardinal, I feel kind of thing, and then Leo is the fixed, I will, then Virgo is the mutable refinement of that. Is what
I don't
you
know refinement. Alexa, what is the definition of refinement?
So how do I define
Refinement is usually defined as fineness or elegance of feeling, taste, manners, language, etc. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for refinement.
Okay, so it's like the fanciness
of your Leo self.
of like your, yeah, wow, okay. So it's like the Leo gets to kind of like go crazy, be a little insane, and that's why I always think like Virgo comes in and cleans up the party, but in reality it's I just had, okay, hang on, okay, what day was that? I went shopping, or no, it was for Emery's birthday. We went to the Chinese restaurant last week at some point, and my mom came with us, and she got in the front car, or she was getting in to get into the front seat, and I used that as my trash can. And she, before she got in, she just picked all of this stuff up, and I'm like, Mom, your feet can go. There was only like 4 bottles. It was not that bad. I've had way worse, you know. And she was like, no, you're not supposed to do this. It's that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like,
but
it's you're doing that to yourself.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Ooh, that's what. Ooh, think about that. The positive side of Virgo energy is you doing those critiques and refinements from a place of awareness, from a place of authenticity, rather than skipping that whole Leo step, jumping right into the Virgo.
Whoa.
Then you're just critical for no fucking reason.
Yeah. It's like a way to be able to talk to yourself, to be like, we do not allow this anymore. We do not do this anymore. You messed up with that last time. We are moving forward, and we are fancy, and we.
Or too, like, I like how you said that too, because Virgo is also a very healing sign. So it's also like, oh, I presented myself in this way. That was because I was unhealed. So I'm going to heal that. I'm going to refine that into this healed part of me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Love it. Scared for it.
So Mars is still making a trine to Uranus, Mars in Virgo, Uranus in Taurus. So that's that, like, you know, that Earth trine. But Mars is in a gate of like damn, this all just keeps relating back to this. Mars is in gate 6, which is about conflict that comes from that lack of self-awareness and emotional regulation, you know? So yeah, Virgo going in there to go, hey, remember who you are.
Yeah.
Hey, this is just an emotion. Let's figure out.
I just keep seeing like a broom, like sweep. We don't need that doubt. Sweep. We don't need that fucking whatever. Like, getting all that bullshit out of there.
Yep. And then again, Uranus is still in that energy of like splitting apart and complexity to gain more clarity. You know, it's like, I love that too with this, because it's like, well, this is it's like, I think of organizing again. This goes in this drawer, this goes with that. And like this splitting apart actually makes things more clear. You know, when you're standing from above with that, you're like, and you know what's weird is I actually had that thought when we did a meditation before this, where I thought about how like gravity is so comforting because it's something I can always rely on. Like from the moment that I literally had this thought, I'm like, from the moment that we're babies coming into this world and we learn how to walk, we start to figure out how to dance with gravity. And it becomes so comfortable that we don't even think about it anymore. We just like know exactly how to move our body. Like we know what gravity is without even thinking about it. Like we know that when we lift our arm, it's gonna go right there. You know what I mean? We don't have to really think about it. We know how to like move through gravity. And I thought about that, how that comes from like that pull to the earth and how like grounding that is, you know?
Yeah. That's a good, no, like I love that because it's a good way to look at it. I've never thought of it in just that aspect of gravity itself, because I do so many like grounding, like I'm very big in grounding meditations, grounding activity, all kinds of stuff like that, you know? But fucking never thought about gravity before.
Well, it's like it was weird too because I was thinking of it as like I was thinking of it as like my crown chakra, and like I've always heard that voice in my head that says like the crown chakra is healthier when your root chakra is healthier. You know, because that's how because you can pull these things in, but if they just sit in your body, what good is that? They don't materialize until you shoot it through the earth, till you shoot it through the root, you know? So I was like thinking of that, and then I was like, oh, so like all of this confusion that comes from our head, the insights that we get, the things that people say to us, like all of that unpredictableness is like you can kind of channel that in through the root by just saying like I know what gravity is. I don't know.
You just lost it.
Like as I said that out loud, I'm like, that does that even make any freaking sense? It's like
No, I think it's honestly going back to the word faith, because we can have faith that like, because we did a meditation this morning, like before this was about a mountain, like pretty much imagining ourselves as a mountain, and we can have faith in the earth that it's there. We can plant our feet on the earth and we are going to step on something. We have that faith that that will be there. And that's the same thing with gravity. We have the faith that this is gonna fall, you know, like we know that that's gonna be a thing. So to be able to trust and rely and utilize that in a grounding way is a new thing that I've never thought about until today.
and I also wrote down here with this day too about how like we could be also facing the shadows of the South Node when we're thinking of that in like a purging type of way. Which I was like, you know, people pleasing, vanity, fakeness, gossip, manipulative, argumentative. Like I kind of wrote down these qualities that popped into my head, and I'm like, I think I'm just now realizing that that feels so ungrounded. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's why we're always trying to bring peace through this, you know? Like we're scared of all these things, so we try to we revert to people pleasing. We revert to staying small. We revert to shutting up, you know, whatever it might be. When like the whole lesson within this is you're fucking planted in gravity on this earth for a goddamn reason. Like you said, the faith in that. So like if you trust in someone and they fuck you over, you still have gravity.
Okay. I know where you're going with this, but let me make it sound
Yeah,
better.
thank you.
You still have gravity. You're still gonna fall on your face
That
if
was
this
my brain
person.
going, fuck it.
Okay. What I just saw, it was weird because I have like, yeah, I'll have to show you. Oh, I have the Alexa show in front of me, and there was a picture when you were saying that of the ocean. So what my brain just did when you were saying that is, okay, somebody's bullying you, which is really weird because that's what started my whole fucking therapy session today, because I had a dream last night about my bullies. I'm outside and I'm talking to this fucking shed guy. This is the scenario that I'm going with. And let's say he's like talking down to me, bullying me, whatever, that kind of a feel. I have the faith and knowledge that my feet are firmly planted on this earth. And as we know, as humans, as aware women, human, whatever, we are connected to everything. I have the fucking ocean inside of me, and I can take out this motherfucker if I need to.
Well, damn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what we have faith in. We can connect to the earth. We can connect to gravity. We can connect to the ocean. We know that we have that inside of us and it's all connected. We have that awareness. So even if somebody is bullying me, it's not gonna fucking, it's gonna be like a goddamn pebble on a mountain. I don't goddamn care about your stupid pebble, goddamn stupid shed guy. You're a stupid pebble. You are. You're a pebble in my life, and I'm a fucking mountain.
You also, when you brought up the ocean part of it and the connectedness part of it, you also made me realize the word pull when it comes to gravity. We are always being pulled by unseen forces, you know, like that alone should give you faith. That alone should make you feel grounded within the confusion and chaos, you know?
I don't know. Okay, when you're saying unseen forces, what do you like?
We
What do
don't
you mean?
see gravity. You know,
Okay.
this is we just entrust
Are you
and
talking about
believe.
like intuition or just like
Yeah, yes, like intuition
okay?
in this
So
of
this
like
is our
thinking of it like
femininity.
gravity, but thinking of it like gravity,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like I guess like
yeah.
I'm kind of creating a bridge
Metaphoring.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Friday, August 18th. So moon is still in Virgo and it's going to start to conjunct Mercury. And at the same time, the sun is going to start making a trine and sextile to the nodes. So it's going to trine the north node in Aries and it's going to sextile the south node in Libra. So we're getting some emotional connection to our thinking and speaking. I think Friday is going to be very fog clearing.
Clarity.
Yeah. Because we're going to start to kind of like realize realistic, that goes back to that Virgo refinement, realizing realistic limits and boundaries. Okay. So like we have fully set the intention of this taking up space. And then maybe by the time we get to Friday, we really clearly define where that space ends, you know, like where,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
how far we can expand, how far we can go here. And then while the sun is making these trines and sextiles, it's like there's the courage, you know, we're shining light on that courage and we're fully letting go of any people pleasing, any of those shadow aspects of Libra that I just talked about.
Oh, that feels so much better.
I know. I love how when we do this too, we feel the
Yeah,
roller
we're in the
coaster
energy.
as we're going
Yeah.
through it. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Okay. So then I think too, as we move through the day, then later the moon is going to conjunct Mars. And when it conjuncts Mars, it's going to be a part of this trine to Uranus that we already talked about. So we're going to really be feeling the motivation and power at that point to take these complexities and ground it in, you know, to take this new us, this new expanded, we know the limits, we know the boundaries, and we're going to fully ground that in. And that yacht is still happening too between the sun, the south node, pointing at Neptune. So again, we're having this spiritual clarity as well. And where Neptune is right now in human design too is literally called darkening of the light.
Wow.
Like, I think that
wow. Just looking at that, at the aspect of like, because I always think of Neptune as a lot of addiction stuff because that's a lot of my mind state and putting light on my addiction. That's just what my mind did. And it could be for anything, your delusion, your numbness, your whatever.
I was thinking of it that way too, where I'm like, where am I darkening my light? You know? And it's also like known as the gate of crisis because of that. It's how does our reaction to crisis cause us to darken our light? I don't know. So like by the time that Yeah, but like if you think about Neptune in a very collective way, and also the fact that it's retrograde, right? So when we see crisis out there, how does that cause us to darken our light? That is so actually fucking true. Like I think of that even when we watch the news. When we
Oh my
watch the
God,
news,
yeah.
how do we fucking are we maintaining that high vibe energy? Hell fucking no, we're not.
No, I dissociate, turn it off, pretend it's not happening.
Or like I also think it's like hopelessness,
Yeah.
nihilism, just anger at other people, that intolerance even, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
like oh fuck man, you just made me think of it, and I know this is so hard for other people to do, so I don't care if I realize my taking up space, I don't care if I don't fucking make sense anymore, whatever, like it's too
Yeah.
much. Okay, so like I think of it as like we can sit here and safely say that racism is bad. For white people to have intolerance towards black people is horrible. It's an atrocity. It has caused so much pain and suffering, right?
Yep.
How often am I intolerant though to old white rich men? How often am I intolerant to people that are spoiled, the people that don't have to struggle,
Hang on.
people that get
Are
things
you pause?
them.
You were saying, how often am I intolerant to old white with Richmond? I do not tolerate that. Is that what you're kind of saying? Like that's okay. So as a collective, the majority of us do not fucking tolerate these motherfuckers.
So maybe
Okay.
what I'm saying is what if our intolerance is actually just making more problems? Like I don't know. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm
No,
not saying
because
that
I'm never gonna tolerate them.
I'm not saying that we should I'm not saying that we should like, you know, love them and go bring them a fucking fruit basket and tell them that we forgive them for everything that we've done. But
Yeah.
I'm saying when we come from a place of intolerance and we're not coming from a place of understanding, and we can't defeat them if we don't understand them.
Oh, oh,
Shadow, man.
I hate it.
Me too. I really do. Because I don't want to I don't want to understand them.
Yeah. That's what just came up in my head. Like, I don't fucking care. I don't want to understand that. But then you go
This
back
goes
to
back.
like, they were raised, like, I don't know if I said this to you yesterday. I said this to somebody. Like, look at my parents. My parents didn't have the internet. My parents didn't have, like, they had the fucking encyclopedias. All they had was TV, maybe to like learn from, you know. The generation before that barely had TVs. They probably didn't even have very many. They probably had encyclopedias or something, you know. But school, like, you had to learn like word of mouth a lot more, stuff like that. Whereas where we come from now is we have access to absolutely anything. So to take into consideration that these people were raised definitely not like us, definitely not with the knowledge that we have, definitely not with, I want to say knowledge and conviction, because that comes with knowledge, like learning about slavery, learning about stuff like that. You
You
are
know what I
going,
just thought of? It's
what?
community. If you're lower on the totem pole financially, you really have to rely on your community. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Those people at the top, they're so
you're right.
fucking isolated. They're 1% of the population. They're out of touch.
Yeah. So they need to understand us, yes, but we also going into the point of understanding with them of, they probably came, well, I don't know, some of them came from lack, some of them came from terrible, like, racist, war-ridden families and poverty, the
The
Great
karmic weight
Depression,
of
all of
wealth.
it.
Remember how we
I
talked
can't
about
even
wealthy
imagine that.
weight?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what you said too,
Wow.
we can't get them to understand us if we don't understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll just never have we'll never have the right words. And then we'll never have understanding, which goes back to where Uranus is with the words. Like we all agree on what words mean. And if we don't have that agreement, then words don't mean shit. And last thing I will say, we will move on, is that also when it comes to this like splitting apart or this, the differences or whatever, think about like, remember how I've always described Taurus as to make form? What that is us going the differences of form. So I think that another thing we might see with all these transits is that form breaking apart. You know what I mean? To show us more understanding, you know? Well, like maybe even think of that with money. Like if money is this form that we have formed the idea of money. If it breaks apart, then we're going to understand what it really means better. Whew, okay, Saturday. I almost said Saturn day.
I know.
That's weird. I mean, Saturday is
Saturn's day. Yeah.
But it's in Libra. The sun is still making a trine and sextile to the nodes, and the yacht is still going on. And when the moon is in Libra, it's going to have us like, it's going to have us looking for the right places in the right times and being determined. And I think that it's going to show us like our diplomatic skills, you know, like how we can kind of move through the day, right? How do we move through the day? And then it's gonna have us like working on, I want to say like that diplomaticness of the Libra moon before, and think about it, it's not even touched the south node yet. So yeah, we kind of have that energy, but not as strongly yet. So I think it's like we're also working on like how can we come up with maybe compromises or resolutions to things that aren't fucking working, you know?
Yeah, fairness,
like it's like as we're testing the limits and the boundaries and we're getting through our day or whatever, we might sometimes have to have a resolution oriented conversation with someone, or doing that within ourselves or whatever, you know, it's like compromise. And I think that is all that I want to say about Saturday, because we've said so much about these same aspects on okay, so last day, Sunday, August 20th. So now Venus is going to start squaring Jupiter. Venus retrograde Leo, square Jupiter in Taurus. Guys, this is that same Leo Taurus stuff that we're feeling from the new moon, but now it's Venus and Jupiter instead of the sun and Uranus. You know what I mean? So now it's inward values versus how we manifest that, versus how that actually expands. That's back to that taking up space and expansion of Jupiter. How do we take up form space, material space, grounding it in, rooting it in, taking up physical space? How much physical space do we feel that we deserve? How valuable do we feel in our physical space?
What is Jupiter in?
Jupiter's in Taurus.
Oh my God.
I guess too, that also think about like the value of being receptive. You know, we can't create a better future for ourselves if we don't feel like we're worth it, if we don't feel like we're worth receiving it. Do we collectively as humanity feel like we are worth a better future, a better tomorrow? Because I noticed that a lot too when we think of the world ending. It always comes from like, well, humans are fucking scum of the earth anyway. We're all a bunch of fucking cockroaches. The earth would be better off without us. Well, then you know what? That's what you're manifesting.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. Okay, tarot. Yeah. All right. Somehow I picked out 2 tarot cards. I don't know what happened, but we're gonna figure it out. So we have the 3 of inspiration and the 4 of materials. So inspiration is probably wands. I don't know. This is the Muse deck. So we have the 4 of material. Oh, this is the 4 of Pentacles. So it's the Miser card. Okay. So she looks out at the camel below. It's saving its water, and she smiles for she understands the beautiful beast and its desire to conserve for the future. Safety, backup, the secret stash of I'm okay. A petal falls off of her rosebud purse that she carefully has been holding close, and then the realization that money comes and goes sets in, and she panics momentarily. But I have saved more than I've spent, she reminds herself. I am safe. And the muse of the four of materials sends her a small pulse of comfort in the heavens. You have the whole universe inside of you, and you can build and make more at any time. It is never too late. I love that. The muse reminds you that you too are always safe, and that while material extras are always nice to have, build, and watch, they are not always necessary for your joy.
That's so fucking perfect for everything we've said.
Yeah. And then the next one is the Three of Inspirations. She has lofty goals and a giant dreams. And sometimes when she dreams this big, it can take some shifting to get things to line up. The space between the first steps taken and seeing the dreams realized can feel frustratingly vast. And the Three of Inspiration knows that the most trust that she must trust that things are happening in the background, even when she cannot see them. She has been at this doorway before, manifesting and waiting, and she has learned that staying true to her vision is the key. She reminds you to continue to do the work while actively seeking the signs that your radiant future is on the way. Enjoy this natural interval, being careful to not get derailed by doubt, even if you are experiencing delays. Watch for the warm winds to move your pieces into formation, and know that it is totally okay to have to wait for dreams to arrive after you've taken the initial steps to make them happen. Have faith. The arrival is imminent. You need that. I feel like I constantly am like, it's okay. We don't have to do it all today. Yeah, like, oh, I love that. Okay. And then we have the Embrace card. And this is the fuzzy prism. Welcome love, welcome challenges, welcome all that comes to you today. Exude love, be the light, embrace others, accept others. All of this will bring you freedom and healing. Embrace reality, for it is exactly what it's supposed to be at this moment. Holy fucking shit. That's like no words. And that just summed up everything we just talked about.
I know. I feel like all of these tarot cards are, honestly, it's like, hey, things are unpredictable. You know, hey, at least gravity is real.
Yeah. At least we still have gravity.
Yeah.
All right, then the next one is Time to Fly. And this is the Oracle of E. It says, it may seem like a gamble, but here's a little intel from the universe. That leap into the unknown you've been waffling over, not only is the safety net already in place, but there is a posse of angels waiting with champagne and chocolate and Egyptian cotton sheets. You ready? So, in our lives, all of us are starting something new. That's basically what this is. I mean, this is a new moon. This is that energy. We are bringing in new. We are starting something new. Something new is happening. It's going to cause a lot of fucking uncomfortableness. It's going to cause us to be scarce with our money, weird with our money, whatever. But everything is we have to have that faith, that embrace. So I'm going to read this again. This is the key. Welcome love. Welcome challenges. Welcome all that comes to you today. Exude love, be the light, embrace others, accept others. All of this will bring you freedom and healing. Embracing reality, for it is what it is supposed to be at this moment.
That's also that high level of understanding that we talked about, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and being aware of like, okay, I'm going through a challenge, but I'm embracing it. It's okay. It's fine, you know, instead of just reacting. And then I pulled one of those cards. What is it? The little box of motivational shit. Wake up, kick ass, repeat. Yeah, we got this, guys. We're at the end of Leo season soon. Thank God. So there's so much stuff to talk about. We have our special still running for our sacred seance, which is the medium party. If you would like to get a group of girls together, group of people together, it's a really good bonding time. We'll connect to your passed away loved ones. We'll just connect to you with astrology or human design or your psychic energy to kind of help you if you have questions about a job or relationships, whatever. It's so much fun. And then we also are doing our sacred soul coaching. And all of that is it's our coaching program.
Our combined coaching program. Both of our uniqueness put together to make the most for you.
Yeah, and it's fucking amazing. Guys, I can't, and you're gonna see this coming up soon. I can't go back to the way I was doing stuff before. I have to utilize Erika. Yeah, I can't because I'm not fully healing people. And I noticed that with Erika's knowledge and human design, and this is better. We are doing a better job together. So that's why we've combined. We also do have our own separate stuff too. If you would like to check all of that out, all of it's in the links below. Make sure you're checking out the Awaken the Witch Festival that's coming up. The new moon thing this weekend for you. Talk about it. I'm done talking.
Wait, nope, because then we're going to be confused about time again because that'll already be over by the time this podcast airs.
Well, just the new okay.
Yeah, the new moon things. Yeah, okay. So yeah, also we are working on, I'm just going to throw it out there. We're working on a special as well for returning clients. So any of my clients who have seen me before or Claire's clients who have seen her before, if you guys are interested in learning about this deal of getting us both together in a coaching session, like message one of us, and we'll talk about it.
We're running a special and for returning clients. So it's normally it would be like $500 or something or whatever to start our we have it all down, like you can look at it all of the breakdown of it. But because you're a returning client, we already know your energy. We're giving you a special to start up our sacred soul coaching, and we are fucking excited about it.
And I think we're excited to see people we haven't seen in a while too.
Yes, I miss you. Oh my God, I have so many people I've missed so much.
So yeah, if you're watching this and that's something you're interested in, definitely let us know, hit us up. We will give you all the details. And also, if you're watching this and you think it's valuable to you in your life, please consider sharing, liking, subscribing, leaving us a comment, throwing us some feedback, send us an email, whatever you want to do. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen and taking the time to help us grow this podcast and this channel. We really fucking love doing it. Like, I loved this podcast so much. I love doing this. Like, it feels like it's just the right thing to do. It feels like that gravity. It feels like I'm being pulled in the right direction. So thank you guys so much for helping us realize our own dreams and goals. And we love you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.